Now, over the years, we have all realized how hit and miss Kathleen Kennedy really was with the Star Wars franchise. I would go as far to say that her best Star Wars project out of everything so far has been Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. I thought that film was pretty solid. In fact, it seemed like the most authentic Star Wars movie that there was under Kathleen Kennedy's leadership. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way, guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you also very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing that is, of course, happening over at Disney between Iger and the board and everything in between has a lot to do with the plan of firing Kathleen Kennedy and getting rid of her once and for all. This is a very big deal between Iger, the board, and they all agree that Kathleen Kennedy has to go. Now, we already talked about how Kathleen Kennedy is, of course, getting ready to leave. However, there are more details coming out about this, about her actual getting laid off by Bob Iger and the Disney board. Now, we already know that everything related to Kennedy getting laid off has a lot to do with the underperformance of the Star Wars franchise, and of course, everything related to the overall structure of the roadmap for the past couple of years. So, when you go ahead and look at everything related to this, what's even all the more intriguing has to do with something that Kathleen Kennedy recently signed over at Disney that really is by far the biggest hint of her leaving Lucasfilm once and for all, and exactly why she's leaving. Alright, so we're going to be tapping into all of this and what it really means. Now, Bob Iger recently had Kathleen Kennedy sign something very crucial to, of course, exactly what this all is going to lead to. Now, with Kathleen Kennedy over the years making controversial decisions for the Star Wars franchise as of late, the Disney board has had enough of Kathleen Kennedy's damages, and also Bob Iger preparing to fire her by August of 2023. It's noted that most recently Kathleen Kennedy signed something that leads to the biggest telltale of her departure over at Lucasfilm, as she recently signed a severance deal of around $20 to $30 million. Now, a severance deal by definition is a pay often granted to employees upon getting laid off from employment. Kennedy is said to have recently signed this severance deal and will remain the president until around August of 2023. Even Bob Chapek recently hinted at this in a recent interview of his by stating the following to everyone: "The board felt it was my time to go and for Bob Iger to take the handle again, and I can confirm that Kathleen Kennedy could be facing a similar situation as mine in the coming months, but I really can't go into that fully right now for obvious reasons." Now, let me just pause here for a second. Now, for those of you that have expressed a lot of criticism over Star Wars over the years, this is exactly why I have said many times that it's looking more and more likely that we are going to be entering into the golden age of the franchise for, of course, the Star Wars universe, because not only did John and Dave get major promotions over at Lucasfilm that gives them a lot more power and a lot more creative authority over the projects, but they also have a lot more privileges now, financially speaking. They are in control of the marketing of many of the shows, the budgets of these upcoming shows, etc. So, Kathleen Kennedy signing this deal that literally was between $20 to $30 million, who can really feel bad about her getting laid off? I say nobody. That's a lot of money. Who cares, right? I have no problem with her getting laid off. It's about time. It is coming. They are planning to make it actually happen in August of 2023. Now, this signature is by far the biggest telltale, and even what Bob Chapek recently said is yet another big, initial hint there about everything leading to Kathleen Kennedy's demise over at Lucasfilm. Just leaving entirely, getting rid of her, and her end is coming. Now, about all of this, we already know that Bob Iger, and as we discussed in the past video, has been also in a lot of trouble with the board, because he's trying to cover this up also as her stepping down voluntarily. He doesn't really want it getting out that she is getting fired, per se. And this severance deal is by far the biggest hint that she is indeed getting fired. because, you know, severance, you know, that's usually what happens when you're getting let go or laid off, fired, whatever. And she gets $20 to $30 million for this. Can you imagine that? I mean, that's crazy. So, like I said before, there are a lot of options here, all right? They're still going down the list. Ron Howard is at the top to take her replacement. David Heyman is second. There are a couple of new candidates, just in case those two don't work out. However, moving on, apart from what Chapek said here, Kennedy is said to have finally accepted that she is getting ready to get laid off from Lucasfilm, and that it was a difficult thing to accept for the first couple of weeks. Kennedy, however, has no plans of retiring from the film industry and is planning to start her own production company as well to compete against Star Wars and Star Trek. This could also have something to do with her getting laid off almost immediately from the Disney board. Ron Howard also has been informed about her signing this deal and is still up for the role of becoming the new president of Lucasfilm. Now, I know a lot of people out there are not really all that excited about Ron Howard being the top candidate. A lot of fans out there aren't really a big fan of Ron Howard, you know, through and through. There are some people that are skeptical about him as a creator, and I understand that. I can totally understand people's, you know, expressions on that or their opinions on that. But there's no denying the fact that anybody would be better than Kathleen Kennedy. Period. The end. That's how I see it, at least. And when you look at Bob Iger and the Disney board, they're finally coming to their senses, and I think it really comes out of desperation at this point. They've realized that the numbers for Star Wars aren't meeting expectations. The overall fan feedback is not what they have been expecting. They want to really ramp things up. They really want to get things back in shape. And that's why they are leaving it up to John and Dave, with, of course, the Ahsoka series said to be the home run for Star Wars on Disney+. This is described to be the home run of the Star Wars shows, even more so than The Mandalorian Season 2. The Ahsoka series is by far said to be probably one of the most successful installments on Disney+, period, even, of course, surpassing Marvel. That's, of course, what they are expecting. Now, everything related to Kathleen Kennedy, you know, she has had a lot of problems with the fans, too, over the years, because she believes it was the fans' fault that actually caused her getting, you know, all this criticism. And you know what? It's true. I mean, when you look at it like this, the fans had every right to raise their opinion, every right to raise their feelings about the sequels, about Disney and Lucasfilm's treatment of Star Wars, and where it was all really going, right? So it just makes a lot of sense why the board and Bob Iger would want to make such a immediate call like this, and having Kathleen Kennedy sign something so crucial that is by far the biggest and most monumental hint out there that she is indeed getting ready to leave, like we talked about, by August of 2023. So anyways, guys, you know, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about all this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.